Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. 1 hour left to go in this week as far as we're concerned. I hope that work week's in the rearview mirror for you. For us, it's close, and if it's not for you, we'll get you to the finish line here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I want to spend some time here before we get to Saints in the next segment. Talking about this super regional round, I went on Monday about how much fun I had watching college baseball over the weekend. The regionals are nuts; they're absolutely crazy, and they just create a lot of chaos because you inevitably work through a lot of your pitching, and then there's just an offensive onslaught, and weird things can happen. Less weirdness happens in the supers. Then you get back to some weird stuff in Omaha. There are days off in Omaha, which helps that, but you do kind of play a regional format into a super regional format. But the regionals are the wildest of them all, and it was certainly wild and crazy last weekend. There are more games. There are more variables. You got teams pitching off in game one. You got smaller schools involved that aren't supposed to win, and they do. And then sometimes you got empty stadiums. The host is out of there. And I just had a blast watching last weekend, and I'm very excited to watch this weekend, even though it's going to be a little bit more straightforward. West Virginia is about to polish off game one over Cal Poly. They lead in the ninth inning. It's 12-2. Looks like a sold-out stadium there in Morgantown. They're really embracing it. They're playing good baseball right now, though. They were down to their last three outs against Kentucky last week in game three and found a way to score, I think, 5 or 6 in the bottom of the ninth in the ninth inning to win game two, and then came back and beat Kentucky in game three, but walked them off to get to this point. But they're gonna crush Cal Poly, who's probably not very good at all. Cal Poly just got lucky. They got into a regional and never had to play the host UCLA. St. Mary's took care of UCLA 2 different times, and Cal Poly got to feast on St. Mary's and Virginia Tech and get through the regional. But West Virginia is going to be headed to Omaha here in the next 48 hours or some point, and that's a cool thing for them. There's a lot more action, though, to get to over the course of the next 3 days. I think the matchup between North Carolina and Southern Cal is fascinating. This is going to be a very, very well-pitched super. I think that North Carolina is a more complete team. But as I say that, North Carolina is in the ACC where everybody else has bowed out. I don't think that Georgia Tech is a fraud because they got beat by what I consider to be a very mediocre Oklahoma team. I think Georgia Tech played poorly for a couple days. And that happens. Like, this is something, when we can take emotion out of it, I think I can get this point across, and it hits home a little better than it would if LSU was the team I was talking about. But I have seen far too many times teams who just quit hitting for 48 hours. Great teams that quit hitting for 48 hours, and your season's over. LSU was a great team in 2013. Great team. They went up to Omaha, bad bats, huge ballpark, lost to UCLA, lost to North Carolina, went home. It was a great team. Great team. Oregon State in 17 is one of the best teams in the history of college baseball. And for 2 days against LSU, Alex Lang, Zach Hess, Caleb Gilbert, they quit hitting. They just quit hitting. Now, Lang and Hess are tough, no doubt. But they'd seen tough pitchers, and they'd crushed them all year. Adley Rutschman, Nick Madrigal, Stephen Kwan. These are big leaguers right now. And they couldn't hit for 2 days. Just went home. It wasn't Pat Casey's fault. They just quit hitting. LSU, Aaron Nola's last year, 2014. For 2 days after Nola pitched the marble game on Saturday and got him through, they just quit hitting for 2 days. Alden Cartwright started the Monday game. It didn't go very well, and LSU didn't hit for 2 days. LSU quit hitting at Stony Brook for 2 days. Last week, UCLA quit hitting for 2 days. It's not John Savage's fault. The coach didn't do a bad job. He coached a team to win every weekend and go 52-6 or whatever they were. And they quit hitting for 2 days. And that's something that happens in postseason college baseball. And it takes two. You can not hit for 1 day. You come back and you got to swing the bats the next day. when LSU does it, we got to blame the coach. We got to blame the hitting coach. We got to blame Paul Maneri. We got to blame Javi Sanchez. We got to blame Jay Johnson. You have a bad season. Like, you want to jump on Jay for not doing the best job this year at a 9-21 team. He's not going to push back on that. Neither am I. It didn't work. It was not a good job. But I'm not going to jump a coach because a team quits hitting for 2 days. It's just baseball. And that's something you see this time of year. And so North Carolina could do that. And Georgia Tech did that last week. But I like North Carolina in this weekend series against Southern Cal, but I think it'll be hotly contested. If Southern Cal wins it, I won't be surprised. I think it'll take 3 games for them to do it. It's going to be a great environment in Chapel Hill. I'm excited to watch that. It starts right now. They're going to start up right now in Chapel Hill there at the Bosch. So that's a really good one. Of course, you've got tonight Auburn and Ole Miss. That's the late game. I'm telling y'all this right now before Ole Miss and Auburn throw a pitch. I've said it a couple times this week. I'll say it again. You need to watch out for Ole Miss. Not just this weekend in Auburn. You need to watch out for Ole Miss winning the whole thing. They've got some issues. They strike out too much. They have in the past, a lot this year, relied too much on the home run. They didn't rely too much on the home run against LSU, and they didn't rely too much on the home run when they went and won in Lincoln last week. They swung the bats well. Owen Pano's waking up a little bit. Utermark's a heck of a hitter. Will Furness does a nice job handling the bat. Austin Foley's had a good year. Like, they're playing well, but it's not that. It's Hunter Elliott, who's just nails. He is freaking nails. He's going to pitch great tonight. Watch. He's going to pitch great. Then they've got Rabe, who LSU was introduced to Taylor Rabe in his coming out party. His coming out party was Game 3, LSU. He shoved against the Tigers. He was up 96 miles an hour, throwing strikes. It was stellar, and LSU didn't have an answer for him. And then, oh, by the way, once Elliott and Rabe go, you've got a veteran national championship pitcher at the front end, Rabe, who's 6'5" and built like a truck and throws hard. And then once those two guys are gone, their third starter is Cade Townsend, who's going to go in the top 50 picks of this draft. At one point, people thought he was going to go in the top 10. Now, he hasn't been as good the last 3 or 4 weeks, but he's really good. He throws hard. He's got great breaking stuff. They've got 3 starting pitchers. And y'all know this about me. There's nothing I prioritize in college baseball more than the top of the rotation. When you can put yourself in position with those guys, you feel really good about going 6 innings. You feel like they can give you 7 at times. One of them might get hot and go 8 1/3. But they've got 3 of them at Ole Miss. So Auburn led the SEC in ERA. If Auburn wins a home super against Ole Miss, I will not be shocked. But I like Ole Miss, and if I was a gambling person, which I'm not, and I was trying to find value on this board in college baseball, Ole Miss is the value on the board. Just watch. I sense something coming from Ole Miss right now. Now, a couple of the other supers, Mississippi State and Georgia, I think is going to be a sweepstakes. Now, I'm not picking anybody to go to Athens and beat them. I know they've lost the last 2 years in the postseason. I know Florida went there and kept them without a home run for 3 days, which seems utterly impossible. I've got a buddy that covers Florida, and I texted him while Georgia was just destroying baseballs over the wall against LSU for 3 days. I was like, I know LSU's pitching staff is not good, and Florida is very talented, but Florida holding Georgia without a home run for 3 days in that ballpark deserves some sort of Intimidator-style billboard at Conjon Ballpark, because that's unbelievable. I'm not picking Mississippi State to win that series. I think they can, but I think Georgia is just too good. And if Georgia loses this one, you got to start asking questions, not about Wes Johnson as a coach, about the tense nature of those guys once Omaha comes onto the table. Because they're good enough. They've been good enough the last 2 years to make it to Omaha. They've certainly swung the bats good enough. Charlie Condon hitting bombs everywhere. But they should win this in Athens at home. I don't know that anybody in red and black knows they have a baseball team. I don't think they'll travel well to Omaha at all. But I think they'll travel to Foley Field this weekend, and I think they'll win. But it might take 3 games. And we talked to Joe Healy yesterday, and he said if it goes 3 games, he likes Mississippi State. I like Georgia to win that super because it's at home, and I like their offense. But Mississippi State's good. They're very, very good. And Valinkas will give them a chance to win the ball game tomorrow. That'll start at 11 o'clock our time. Oregon, Texas is another game, another weekend that's got a lot of high-end talent in it. I have been a buyer of Texas really all season long. even when they went to College Station and lost both of the games of that series, got game 3 rained out, if you recall, on that Sunday night. They sat and tried to play and didn't happen, so that makes them 19-10 in league play. But Ruger Riojas pitched really well last week. He's been up and down for them, and Volantis is just a stud. So if they get to him, he's going to pitch on, I guess, probably Saturday this week, maybe Sunday. But if they get to him, he's just a rock star, and that's a guy that is going to make things difficult on Oregon. Now, Oregon's got some high-end talent, but I like Texas to win that Super probably in 2 games. And then the 2 other SEC week that I'll talk about, I'll just say it. I'll say it before they throw a pitch. I don't think Oklahoma's good. They won a regional. They went, what did they go in the SEC? 14-16 in the league. They won 2 out of 3 in Baton Rouge. I don't think they're any good. I don't think Cam Johnson's good. I think LJ Mercurius has been just fine. I think Jackson Willis is a good shortstop. I think that Skip Johnson's a good coach. He's done a great job of winning games at a place that doesn't invest in their facilities and hasn't been taking baseball as seriously as everybody else in the SEC outside of Missouri. He's a great coach, but I don't think they're very good. I think they caught Georgia Tech on the right weekend. I think they made some huge swings. I don't think they're good, and I was impressed with Kansas's mettle, their environment last week. I thought they did a great job against Arkansas. I think Arkansas is significantly better than Oklahoma, and I think Kansas will win that super regional. I'm willing to say it, even though they've gotten this far and won a regional. I don't think Oklahoma's good, so I don't think they're going to win this weekend. And then you go to St. John's in Alabama. The big-time college baseball media, the guys at D1, suggested that this is a really good St. John's team. I didn't watch a ton of them last week. I know that they scored a ton of runs, and I think it's impressive for them to go and win in Tallahassee, obviously. But I just don't really trust a Big East team. Maybe that's wrong. And then they're playing Alabama. And Alabama's got 2 good starters, not great starters, but good starters. They've got a huge ceiling guy in Justin LeBron at shortstop, and then their best hitter. Alabama's best hitter is Brady Neal. It's their best hitter. Now, I saw some really positive things in Brady Neal early in his career. As a freshman, he homered off Hagen Smith. He's got some tools, but it says something when you're a senior baseball player that you weren't drafted high enough as a junior to go sign. But he's had a great senior year, no question about that. I just struggle with Brady Neal being a team's best hitter and that team going to Omaha, but I do think Alabama is going to Omaha, and Rob Vaughn deserves a ton of credit for that. Now, you think that I think that Georgia doesn't know they have a baseball team. I know Alabama has no idea they have a baseball team. Rob Vaughn last week in the regional went to the press conference and goes, I know what this town does to a winner. I've seen football and basketball. Like, we need more from our crowd. He said that. And then they showed up for a regional final on Sunday, and there was nobody there. So I don't expect a lot of people at the ballpark for the Super. Nobody in Tuscaloosa knows they have a baseball team. That's fine. They got a great football program and a great basketball program. They don't know anything about baseball. I'm pulling for St. John's to win that regional because I don't really care for Alabama to go to Omaha and have a chance to win. But my team right now is North Carolina. They just got Southern Cal up and down in order in the first, so they're in the bottom of the first inning there at the Bosch in Chapel Hill. I'm excited for a big weekend of college baseball. My Omaha picks are going to be Georgia, West Virginia, North Carolina, Troy, Ole Miss, Kansas, Texas, and Alabama. I think that's your 8 for Omaha. And I think it's going to be an interesting tournament when they get to Nebraska, but I'll be locked in this weekend, certainly to Mississippi State and Georgia. And I told you all this yesterday, but if you're looking for Mississippi State, Georgia, like, when is that on? It's 11 o'clock tomorrow. It's noon on Sunday. So those are the first 2 games. If they have a Monday, all that is set on Sunday. Once they get the results, they set the game times for television, but they've got them for Friday, Saturday, Sunday to this point. Mississippi State and Georgia will be the lunch crew on Saturday and Sunday. They'll start that Super tomorrow. The All-SEC showdown tonight is Auburn and Ole Miss. That's the primetime game, which I'm looking forward to as well. Should be Hunter Elliott. And I'm not sure who Auburn's going with. I would imagine that they'll have to hold their ace who pitched on Monday to at least on Saturday. They may have to throw him tomorrow if they lose the game tonight with Elliott on the mound for Ole Miss. So we'll see. Fired up for some super regional baseball over the weekend. Come back. There's a Saint that we just haven't talked about, and I'm going to talk about him next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust, FABT.com, but you don't have to go to FABT.com. Just go in First American Bank and Trust. If you're listening to us in Southeast Louisiana, you don't have to worry or wonder if there's a First American Bank and Trust near you. There is, because there are 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana to best serve you as part of this community. It's a community bank. Started here in Southeast Louisiana, grown to 25 locations in Southeast Louisiana, and the decisions that are made on your commercial loan, your personal loan, are made here in Southeast Louisiana, whether it's in Tangipahoa or St. Tammany Parish, down the bayou in St. John, Lafourche, Terrebonne, near Baton Rouge, Dutchtown, Jones Creek, maybe ever in Metairie. They've got you covered at First American Bank and Trust. Don't think of it as a small bank, but think of it as a community bank. They've got the resources with 25 branches to make sure you're taken care of with your commercial loan and your personal loan. But you get that personal touch, and that's what they pride themselves on at First American Bank and Trust. Find them online at fabt.com or stop in one today. It's First American Bank and Trust.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up. Failure happens to us all, but this is how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is when you get back up when you fall. You better get up.
Don't see a lot of baseball uniforms with the vest look anymore, but North Carolina's got it on today. It looks pretty good. Like, I would prefer they just wear the solid white top. I think that would look better with the full buttons down the front, just a classic baseball uniform. But they got the vest working today, and it's okay. They got the white top on, and they got the Carolina blue sleeves. Carolina just looks good in just about everything they put on.
Yeah, it doesn't matter between football, baseball,
the blue
basketball.
looks good. The Argyle looks good. Jordan Brand stuff looks good.
Always.
And they don't try to, spice it up more often than not. They just stick with the colors and go with it. I'm all into it. It's a good classic uniform matchup. It's a Trojans got the grays on today with the Cardinal and gold.
I think it's Cardinals. That's not red.
Cardinal and gold is what they go with there. So, yeah, just underway, bottom of the first inning there. No score from Chapel Hill. We'll keep you updated on that as we continue to go through the hour. Jordan, I got a question for you, and I'll get into this.
Okay.
How much do you know about Jalen Polk?
I know that he's from the Patriots.
Yeah.
And I know that he played with Michael Penix at Washington. That's about all I know about Jalen Polk.
That's about it. And that's kind of the point.
That's it.
I looked at this and I was like, we never talk about Jalen Polk, so I'm going to talk about Jalen Polk. I spent 28 minutes today, ballpark it, just looking at what is Jalen Polk. Because we obviously know what Chris Olave is, and we've talked about his contract situation. And we know what Devon Vele cost the Saints to go get him from Denver, and we know what he did late last season with Tyler Shuck. And, of course, we know some of these journeymen that have stuck around with the Saints on practice squads and been camp all-stars like Mason Tipton and the like. And, of course, we know that the Saints invested heavily in the draft and in undrafted free agency in the wide receiver position. You go out in your first pick, you get Jordan Tyson. You had Bryce Lance in the middle rounds, Barryon Brown in the late rounds. You have taken it very seriously, but something we never talk about is somebody the Saints went and got last year, gave up assets for a guy that could not play last year in Jalen Polk. And, oh, by the way, he was the 37th pick in the draft, like knocking on the first round's door for New England. Gets hurt. Saints say, hey, we'll take him. And the Saints do take him. He's 6'2". He's 190 pounds. And I want to talk about his college career before we get into what he did in 1 year in the pros. At Texas Tech, he played in the COVID year. And he played in 10 games as a true freshman, made 28 catches, couple touchdowns, no big deal. Transfers to Washington. Played 3 games that year, got hurt, 5 receptions, nothing really to talk about. But in the next 2 years, in 2023 and 2022, so I go back a year, he was a big-time playmaker for Washington. He, as a redshirt freshman in his 3rd year of college, because the COVID year doesn't count, then he redshirted in the 3-game year at Washington, and then he played his redshirt freshman year in his 3rd season in college. He played in 13 games, had 41 catches for 694. That's 17 yards per catch with 6 touchdowns for Jalen Polk. And then he exploded in his final year, his 4th year as a redshirt sophomore at Washington, 15 games played on a playoff team, 69 catches, 1,159 yards. That's about 77 yards per game. But again, 17 yards per catch and 9 touchdowns. Now, I watched his highlight tape, and one thing that is the first thing I want to talk about, we're talking about big plays down the field against USC, against Oregon, against Texas. Big plays, big games down the field. That's what you see from Jalen Polk more often than not. When I watch him run, I don't think, wow, this guy's an absolute burner. When I watch him, I don't see a ton of yards after the catch. I see a guy that wins down the field, creates some separation, and makes big plays down the field and makes touchdown catches and has no problem whatsoever making some plays in traffic. He's not the biggest receiver in the NFL, but 6'2", 190, 195 pounds is a reasonably sized dude. He goes up. His body control is awesome. He catches the ball away from his body. His hands are very strong. There were multiple catches that he made in the end zone on this highlight tape from college where he catches the ball away from his body and goes to the ground without ever bringing the ball into his body. He's just holding it away and is credited with the touchdown. And I think about that fit with the Saints because I don't necessarily think of Olave in that way. I think Olave is more of a smooth route runner, intermediate dude. When I think about Devon Vele, I think about 6'4", 6'5". When I think about Barryon Brown, I think straight line speed. When I think about Jordan Tyson, I think about dynamic athlete. Polk just seems, to me, rock solid. And that's something you can use. That's something that appears dependable. Now, I know when he was at Washington, he had Rome Odunze on the other side. And that is a big negative to some people. Like Hester would tell you that's a negative for him. But Jake, when he was saying that, when he was arguing with me about it on Twitter, he was talking about other players, namely guys opposite Jeremiah Smith in Columbia with Carnell Tate, and like they were talking about him being a one receiver. And you know that Jalen Polk's not your number one. Chris Olave is at number one, and you hope Jordan Tyson is a number one. But Polk is a guy we just kind of don't talk about. That was a second-round pick in the 30s that was a big-time playmaker on a team that played for a national championship. So I think that there's reason to believe, if fully healthy, which that remains to be seen. I'm not there. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how he feels. This is a difference maker potentially. And all of a sudden, you could go from Tyler Shuck out there in December with a bunch of guys fresh off the UPS truck to first-round pick Chris Olave, first-round pick Jordan Tyson, second-round pick in Jalen Polk, mid-round pick potentially in Bryce Lance, if that's a spot they want to put him into, burner in Barryon Brown, who's got SEC records for kick returning. All of a sudden, it starts to look a little bit better. Now, I'm not here suggesting that this Saints wide receiving core is about to challenge the Jamar Chase T. Higgins crew. I'm not telling you that it's got an all-pro on it on the first team or a bona fide Hall of Famer at number one like you've got in some places. But you've got some real talent and real role players that can be a pretty dynamic receiving core, and I think they complement each other pretty well. If Tyson can become, for lack of a better term, a problem, if he can become a problem that teams really have to pay attention to because he runs really well and he leaps really well and he makes big plays and Tyler Shuck trusts him down the field and you know you're going to get 1,150 yards and 7 touchdowns from Olave, and Vele's a big body, and then all of a sudden you've got Polk, who's okay playing in traffic. Like, that's a lot to concern yourself with, especially when you juxtapose it not with the best receivers in the NFL, juxtapose it with last December and what the Saints were able to do with nothing. All of a sudden it's like, well, that's not nothing. It's something. And I kind of like it. And maybe Polk's hurt. Maybe he can't beat out some of these guys. And they made a bad move and brought in a guy who's not going to help. I'm willing to be open to that. But at the same time, if you're willing to be open to that, you need to be willing to open to the fact that he was picked in the 30s. And then he went for 1,000 yards on a playoff team in college that played for a national championship. And I think can be a big help to this team. He's a forgotten man because he hasn't played in the NFL in a year and a half. I feel like it's time to kind of remember him. And that's a guy, when you get to training camp, I'm curious to see what he looks like and what they have in store for him, because he could be a real piece to this offense. And I'm for that. I think that's a really, really good thing. Know anything more about Jalen Polk now?
I'm gonna more say this because I think a lot of the moves Mickey has done are these like really low risk, high reward. Because I was kind of hyped when they brought him and Trey Palmer. I feel like they brought them both in at the same time last year, and then they both was hurt. So it was like, okay, you brought in two guys that were hurt. Let's see what they're gonna do this season coming up. I mean, and you hear that him and Tyler Shuck have a good connection. I've been hearing a lot about that with Jalen Polk, but it's a low risk, high reward. Can he come in and, I think there's only like one receiver spot open up for grabs. So he's going to be competing with, camp legend Mason Tipton. So hopefully he can beat him out. If you can't beat out the camp legend,
he should be able to beat him.
But that's a camp legend. You can't beat out the camp legend, then we got some problems right there. So if he can come in and beat out Mason Tipton, I'm not expecting Jalen Polk to come in, beat, like I said, Jamar Chase or something like that. But if he can add added depth to this receiver room, and he can give you that type of big playability, because, again, you got to take the good with the bad. Like you said, the bad is the injury history didn't really work out in New England. But, again, he's had the pedigree in college. He's got the stats. He's got hands. That's one thing you said. He's got really good hands. So if he can come in and get that type of added dynamic to that receiver room, it's a low risk, high reward. Why not?
Here's the math. Olave.
Yes.
Vele.
Stamp.
Tyson.
Yep.
Polk.
Okay.
And then Lance,
Barry
Brown,
see what he get in.
Tipton. All of a sudden, I'm rattling off 8 names here. I need 4.
Yeah.
I think they got 4. They had none last year. 4 is better than none.
Ronnie Bell, Toure, Kevin Austin Jr.
Kevin Austin.
Come on, man.
Made a big catch in OTAs the other day.
Hey, shout out Kevin. Don't worry. They're going to wake up the camp legend Mason Tipton. We could be like, here's another training camp. Mason Tipton's frying everybody.
We got 30 minutes to go. Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Hey, whether you're an athlete or just trying to stay active, Oxford Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute can help you get moving and keep you moving. You got access to the highest levels of specialized care, nationally renowned expertise, the latest equipment, modern facilities, including a convenient walk-in. That's a key word right there. Walk-in orthopedic clinic at the Elite Training Complex on Burbank. If you need care fast, you can head over to Elite. From the field to recovery, Oxford Andrews Institute is there to help you move your healing forward, get you back to what you love doing, whether that's pickleball, whether that's running, hitting the gym. Go to oxford.org/BRortho for more information. They got on-site x-rays at Elite. They can handle sprains, strains, minor dislocations, sports injuries, or maybe ongoing non-spine related musculoskeletal pain. No appointment is needed. You can walk in today right there on Burbank at Elite. You'll see the big football field in the uprights. That's it right there on Burbank. It is Elite. That's all brought to you by our friends at Ochsner.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Check out my friends at Lifetime Roofing. You can find them online at lifetimeroofingla.com. That's lifetimeroofingla.com. Maybe you need a tune-up for that roof before storm season truly gets into full swing. If that's the case, maybe it's a little bit of an older roof, but you're not ready to put a new one on just this second. They're happy to come over, inspect that roof, and if a tune-up is something that can really benefit you, they can do that. It fortifies your roof a little bit as you get into storm season. Obviously, we all know that in most cases, your house is the biggest investment that you've got, and the roof protects it. So make sure that your roof is in great shape entering this storm season. If a tune-up is something you'd like to look into, you can certainly do that, and they are happy to help you with it at Lifetime Roofing. They also do some other things besides roofs. They do installation of gutters, siding, windows, the exterior of your home. Right there at Lifetime Roofing, they're happy to help you out with it. And they've got a lifetime workmanship warranty, which includes the materials that are backed by Certainty, one of the oldest and most trusted names in building materials. So if you've got an older home, got an older roof, want to make sure it is ready for the storm season to come, Lifetime Roofing is happy to help you out with that. And you can trust them. They're from right here in Baton Rouge. They're lifelong Baton Rouge residents and LSU fans, LSU grads. Check them out. Lifetime Roofing. They're online at lifetimeroofingla.com. Still scoreless in Chapel Hill. Mason Edwards did a great job for USC. He is their ace of getting out of the first inning unscathed. North Carolina loaded the bases, and he danced out of it with a strikeout. So on to the bottom of the second inning, and it is nothing between North Carolina and Southern Cal in the second super regional matchup of the day. First one went the way of the West Virginia Mountaineers. They trounced Cal Poly by 10. 12-2 was the final there in Morgantown. So West Virginia one win away from Omaha. LSU is going to try to get back to Omaha next year, and I want to kind of spend a little bit of time here talking about what LSU continues to look for in the transfer portal right now. They've added two pieces, Landon Hood, the right-hander from Gonzaga, who I think is absolutely a guy who competes for a starting rotation spot in the LSU staff. And then you bring in Dawson Park, who is your likely shortstop should Stephen Milam, as we expect, move on to professional baseball. What else do they need? Well, I would like another infielder. It's not absolutely mandatory because you've got Jack Ruckert, you've got John Pearson, but I would like another infielder. And I would like some help in the outfield. Like William Patrick is really your only guy in the outfield right now because you feel like Jake Brown and Derek Curriell are about to go into the draft. Chris Stanfield's out of eligibility. Patrick's kind of your only guy at this point. Daniel Harden's jumped in the transfer portal. You need help in the outfield. And I would expect that LSU will add an outfielder or two. And I would expect when LSU does add them that you're looking at athletic players. This is something I talked about at the top of the show today with Dawson Park. And you'll say, well, he hit 301 at Texas State. Like, what is that at LSU? Like 240? Well, I don't know. Maybe it is 240. Maybe it's 315. He finds something. I can tell you this, though. He's a great athlete. He's a premium defender. He can play shortstop. These are the kind of additions that Jay Johnson is looking to make. He doesn't need somebody that hit 20 home runs last year because Cade Arambidi could hit 20 home runs next year. Omar Cerna could hit 20 home runs next year. Mason Braun is going to hit for more power next year. There is some pop in the program. John Pearson's got 10 home run pop if he plays 56 games. So they're not looking for that specifically. If it comes with the package, they'll take it. And look, Dawson Park hit 13 home runs this year as a shortstop. That's swinging the bat. But I expect outfielders that can run and play defense and hit the ball the other way. I expect another infielder. And then in the pitching staff, if you can find a left-hander, whether that's Brody Trosclair or not, that can help you potentially in the starting rotation, that's a very, very good thing. But you look at LSU's bullpen right now as it stands, and the top-end guys that are coming back would be Santiago Garcia and Ethan Plog from the left side with Danny Lockenmeyer. So three guys that had mixed results this year, walked too many guys, threw too many wild pitches, weren't great this year, but do have some potential. And then you got Marcos Paz and Reagan Ricken. Both guys who I think could be weekend starters, but certainly could help you out of the bullpen as well. And I think as you bring in Landon Hood from Gonzaga to potentially help you in the starting rotation, that could bump Schmidt or Evans back to the bullpen. Now, you got to be careful with this. And I understand that you walk a fine line in dealing with this stuff because both Kason Evans and William Schmidt next year are in their draft year. If you tell one of them, hey, need you in the 8th inning on Fridays in the SEC, that's not the best thing for their draft stock. So I understand how that conversation's got to happen. There are two different conversations there, the draft and winning baseball games and trying to get to Omaha and win a national championship. I think if LSU is going to be the best team it can be, it is possible, said this in the first hour, maybe not probable, maybe not mandatory, but possible that one of those two guys goes to the bullpen. Maybe Landon Hood goes to the bullpen. He just did it this year. But I think LSU still has to add to the bullpen, and I think they will. I think you'll see some additions for LSU that are high strikeout potential bullpen guys. They're certainly going to look at those walk totals. They're certainly going to look at the pitchability. But you do in the bullpen need to have some guys that can get some swing and miss. That's almost a non-negotiable in the bullpen. In the starting rotation, you like swing and miss. I like aces, but you got to throw strikes over the course of 7 innings. You walk 7 guys in 7 innings, you got no chance. You walk one guy in 1 inning out of the bullpen, if you can get swings and misses, you can strand that. So I think LSU right now, maybe defensive catcher could be something they're looking at. You're not going to replace Aaron Beatty or of Cerna. Those guys are going to catch a little bit, but maybe a 7th, 8th, 9th inning catcher who's really good defensively, probably a 5th-year guy or a 4th-year guy. Then you're looking at an infielder who's athletic. Then you're looking at athleticism in the outfield as well. If it comes with big home run potential, great. But The home run potential is secondary to athleticism, positional versatility, being able to hit the backside of the baseball the other way, to drive in runs, be pesky at the plate, be a supplementary piece in the lineup to Cerna, Aaron Beatty, Braun, those guys who are coming back. Those are the things LSU's targeting in the transfer portal right now. Bullpen and athleticism. That's what you got to have. I would love it if they had a left-handed starting option. We'll just have to see if that materializes over the course of the next couple of weeks. But LSU's off and running. They've hosted some visitors. They've gotten a pair of commitments, and they're not going to stop now. They're going to keep the train rolling as we get into Super Regional weekend here on this Friday. North Carolina's on the board. They're hitting the ball pretty hard against USC's ace. He's had a fantastic year. They tried to hold him for A&M last week and didn't happen. They lost game 1 to Texas State. But North Carolina's having no such trouble right now. They are up 1-0 with runners on the corners and 1 out in the bottom of the second, trying to add to that lead there at the Bosch in Chapel Hill. We'll keep you updated on that. Got 17 minutes to go. 2 more regionals. I gave you my picks at the top of the show. All we got left to do here on this Friday is close it out. That's coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
How is Gavin Gallagher still there? I mean, I guess it's because he's a junior, unless you played him when he's a freshman. But, man, that guy has been there for a long time. Jonathan Carbo, Howard Insurance Group, he's been there for a long time, is awesome when it comes to the insurance game. If you're looking for commercial insurance, the Howard Insurance Group is happy to help you out with that. They've got technical experts there. That's what they pride themselves on. That's how they win business. That's how they keep business, because they take care of their clients from a coverage perspective. They absolutely know that premium is important. It's the first thing business owners talk about when they think about insurance. And they'll make sure that they're shopping your policy with different carriers to make sure that you've got the best deal. But they're going to make sure that you're covered, because that storm is always around the corner. That car wreck can always happen. That employee can click something he or she is not supposed to. Do you have cyber coverage? Do you have the proper auto limits? Is your property coverage good with that business interruption limit when that storm blows through? These things the Howard Insurance Group make sure they see. You don't want exclusions on there. They're going to make sure you're not covered, even though you're paying good money on the front end at premium. Let the Howard Insurance Group take a second look at your commercial insurance policy and make sure it is right as we get into storm season. It's the Howard Insurance Group. They're based here in Baton Rouge. They can help you out statewide. They're online at highlandig.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Remind you one final time about our friends over at Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Swing on by this Friday evening for some dinner. If you're looking for a po' boy, they got you covered. But, of course, they got that clean, crispy fried catfish, jumbo Gulf shrimp, shoestring fries. Got your slaw, honey butter rolls, crawfish etouffee, delicious baked potatoes, beignet bites. Need I say more? Just go by and see them at Cork's. It is phenomenal stuff. I've been telling you this for like 2 years. If you're one of those folks that goes, I'm from Louisiana, I'm not going through a drive-through for my seafood. Just go to Cork's one time and see. You will taste how wonderful that batter is. Crunchy, delicious, awesome fried seafood over there at Cork's. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. And as I always tell you, they are happy to do your catering events. Give them a little notice for your birthday party, for your family reunion, for feeding the office, whatever it may be. Corksfishandshrimp.com is a website there between Foster and Jefferson on Government. Corksfishandshrimp.com. Bring our Friday shows every single week. 2-0 Heels as we go to the third in Chapel Hill. West Virginia has already won game 1 of that Super. 2 more to go this evening. And then, of course, you got a ton of baseball tomorrow. You've got 8 ball games to monitor from a college baseball perspective. I'm looking forward to it, and we'll certainly recap all of it coming up on Monday. But for this Friday, we got one thing left to do. It's take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Well, Hunt, is getting very real for the Chicago Bears. So the Bears Board of Directors voted Thursday to advance the stadium development in Hammond, Indiana, with the exact location to be selected. This is the first time that the Bears board has voted on any stadium site. So the Indiana Bears getting closer and closer. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to take it. I mean, there was a thought that this was a bluff.
Yep.
If it is, it's a big one because they're now spending like real time and effort on this.
Yeah.
The Chicago folks that I'm following with the Cubs and whatnot, they're not happy about this.
They shouldn't be.
The deal is, and look, we're down here in New Orleans. You go downtown to watch the Saints if you're in New Orleans. It's a quick drive. It's 15. Yeah, for some people. In big cities, Chicago notwithstanding, like Chicago has the Cubs and White Sox that are right there in the city in different parts, but in the city, and the Bears are right there on the lakefront. So, but they're used to being in the car for 45 minutes or an hour. Like, that's not a big deal. Like, the Patriots have to do that. The Cowboys have to do that. The 49ers have to do that. There are a lot of teams that do this drive. This would not be a unique thing to the Bears, but the Chicago folks don't like the thought of the Bears being in Indiana. I get it. Yeah. I understand. But those are just the breaks, I guess. So it's not the transportation issue. They can get to the stadium. Yeah. It's the stigma of not having them in Chicago or in Illinois. That's weird.
It seems like this was a bluff that went too far. Yeah. From what, as an outsider looking in,
the Bears are a rough organization. Like the Hallis family, which is George Hallis, his kids and grandkids, now the McCaskies. Like, they don't know what they're doing. That's evidence. I listen to the Chicago DJs and the fans bitch about them all the time. They don't know what they're doing over there. That's why they've been so bad for so long. But it seems like they're butchering this too.
It's funny because they finally get Ben Johnson. They got the football side together, and now they're like, all right,
falling apart.
Hammond Bears. So the Cleveland Browns quarterback Shedeur Sanders.
Speaking of terrible organizations.
Well, listen to this. So Cleveland Browns quarterback Shedeur Sanders had a record-breaking group of licensing income last season, mainly from trading cards, as Sanders received $17.7 million from a licensing income during his rookie season. NFLPA J.C. Treader basically said $15 million of that came from just trading cards alone. The second highest leader before that was the record breaker, was Tom Brady at $9.5 million in 2022. So did you ever think a Browns quarterback would be this marketable? Take it or leave it.
Johnny Manziel, take it.
Yeah, I take it. Johnny Football.
I got to say this, and I know that the morning show guys love the card game. They're into the card game.
I can't get into it.
Get some cash off the card game. I don't understand the card game. It's a card. I had cards growing. I don't get it. I don't know why a card of Michael Jordan is this thing that you would want to pay six figures. I don't understand that. If I'm going to pay six figures, it's probably going to be a house.
Yeah.
If I'm going to pay five figures, it's going to be
a watch.
It's something awesome that you could go do, not a card that sits in the drawer. I don't get the card game. I'm fully supportive of those who do get the card game. I just won't be involved in the card game.
No, I will not be involved. I don't get it, but I kind of get it. I'm just more surprised at like this urge of cards over the last couple of years. I feel like it just spiked all of out of nowhere.
Look, if you got a market for it, that's the EFT thing that was a big deal for like 5 minutes and then it wasn't again. I don't get it.
You got to see the Pokemon cards going on right now.
I do not have to see the Pokemon cards
going. It's wars. They're fighting over these cards.
That was a big deal when I was in 8th grade. I did not get into that.
Oh, the Pokemon cards?
Surprise.
Listen, so the Knicks have won 12 straight playoff games, and I'm looking to make it 13 tonight. The last team to win 13 consecutive playoff games, the 2017 Warriors with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and whatnot. Who else went on to win the NBA championship? So if the Knicks win the finals, is this one of the greatest teams of all time? Take it or leave it.
I would leave that. But they're playing great. It's great. I don't know. Their path to the finals, I wouldn't suggest, was littered with Hall of Famers, right?
Oh, no. I mean, they got out. The Hawks were the only team that really beat them twice. Everybody else hasn't beat them. They swept the Cavs, and who else has swept before that? It's Philly. Yeah, they swept Philly. So
I mean, that's a nice job. But you had injuries at Philly. They're good. They're fun to watch. I'm pro Knicks. I hope the Knicks win the title. That's a great thing for New York. I want to see the scenes in the Garden. I want to see it go nuts in Manhattan. That's all good. But best teams of all time, I think we'll pump the brakes on that.
Most definitely. But that's it for Take It or Leave It.
All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It. USC punches back. They get a solo home run. And I got another base runner on with nobody out there. So that's a good baseball team. That's going to be a good super regional. I think UNC will win it, and I think UNC's got a chance to win the whole thing. But I told you all this in the first segment of the second hour, and I'll tell it again before we get into supers, and I'll leave it there until we get into Omaha prep next week. Watch Ole Miss. I'm just telling you, watch Ole Miss. They got to go to Auburn this week. They got better pitching. Their offense is scary. I just got a sense about the Rebels that they could be for real. We'll certainly see. If you missed any of the show today, open things up talking about the LSU baseball transfer portal. Also talked about that in our Our 2:30 segment today, you can find that on demand. Talk Saints, Jalen Polk, you can find that at Hunt on Saints. Talk a little LSU football recruiting with Preston Guy, you can find that at Hunt on LSU. Those are our 2 YouTube channels and podcast channels that are team-specific. If you want to follow those, we certainly do appreciate that. Whole show, always available at Hunt Palmer Show, wherever you find your podcasts. LouisianaSports.net, I'll be writing LSU baseball transfer portal stuff all weekend long, so go check that out for free as well. Matt's going to drive you home next on AFR. Everybody have a safe weekend.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com is the website. That's FabryChevrolet.com. Remind you about the awesome deals they've got going on in June. They've got the 2026 Chevy Silverado at 0% APR financing now until the end of the month. Get that 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 at 2.9 financing for 72 months. And look, if you're looking for that Chevy Trailblazer, Chevy Trax, you can find that as low as $30,000. It doesn't matter what you're looking for. If you need a new vehicle, they've got them at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. If you need a pre-owned vehicle, they've got them at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. And you can see the entire inventory online at FabryChevrolet.com. You can sort by make and model. You can sort by mileage. You can sort by price. Whatever you're looking for, they've got it. That includes SUVs and trucks, as I just mentioned. Make that short drive, Highway 61 in St. Francisville. It's Fabry Chevrolet GMC, and you can find them online at FabryChevrolet.com.